Broadcasting from the business capital of the
wondered
world.
what your pet is
This
thinking?
is the
Have you ever
Podcast
wanted to
Business
tell them
News
something?
Network.
And welcome back, everybody. We are going to talk with somebody that has amazing insight and is able to communicate with animals. Now, I know for some, you might hear that and you're thinking, well, whoa, wait a minute. How is that even possible? I'm going to be honest with you. I wondered about that myself until I connected with her and experienced all of this and used her suggestions to make connections with my animals. Not only does she do that, but she does psychic readings in general. She's an intuitive. She's got so much, you know what? I'm going to say this, just the insight alone when it comes to animals, forget about the communication part, is amazing. She is so plugged into animals. She's also got a great book we're going to talk about, and it's wonderful to have her back here. Shirley Scott is back on the program. Hey, Shirley, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Steve. Thank you. Hope you are doing well, too.
Well, thank you. And yes, I am, but I wasn't a few days ago. And I'm wondering if I could share an experience that I had with one of my cats that it was a moment. I'll put it that very softly there. And I wondered how I could have communicated or communicated better with my cat in a situation. Could I share it with you?
Oh, yeah, please. Let's dig into it.
Okay,
Yeah.
wonderful. 1:00 in the morning, I'm sleeping, and in a half sleep, I thought I heard a noise. Yeah, I was like, nah, maybe not. I'll go back to bed. My daughter, who is 16, starts screaming. As I even mentioned this, it's bringing back like chills. I go running downstairs. I have 2 cats and a dog. I find one of the cats, Ricky, you've ever seen one of those folding snack tables, and they kind of fold up and you can put them off to the side. And they're just, you put them in front of a TV. They're made out of wood. Well, apparently Ricky was on top of that table, toppled it over, and it closed up on his tail. He then proceeded to run around the house with this heavy wood table attached to his tail. Running from the living room to the kitchen with so much force that he actually pulled up one of the thresholds, rubber threshold that leads you from the kitchen tile to the hardwood flooring next to the kitchen. He was peeing all over the place because he was freaking out. I run downstairs and I see him and I hear him, just moaning. I got down. I started trying to figure out how to open up this folded table. The best description is like a mousetrap on his tail.
Right. Yeah.
It was the first 4 inches of his tail. I go to do that. He full on clamps down and bites me on my wrist.
Absolutely.
Don't blame him. I had to yell. It went down to the bone. It's okay now. All good. He let go. I was just about to get a screwdriver to break the table, then realized how I could open it. I did. And he went and hid. And, obvious concern. A few hours later, I checked on him, and he had a little bit of a limp. And, of course, his tail was down. Called the vet, was about to bring him in. And the vet said, well, we don't have any appointments. You could take him to emergency place. But if it's his tail broken, then we can't do anything for it anyway. And I just observed him. He was still eating. He was still coming around. He was cautious here and there. And a day or two later, he was fine. He seemed perfectly okay. He's okay now with his tail. I don't think it was broken because he is moving it around. But in those, honestly, Shirley, I can't believe that he's okay. Like they say, cats have 9 lives. He used 3 of them, but he's okay. I'm astounded and grateful that he's okay.
Yeah.
Literally pulling the table. Even when I pick it up, I was like, oh, this is a heavy table. hardwood, like he pulled it around the downstairs. I don't even know how he did it. But in those moments, and if we've ever been challenged by situations where we want to help our pets, what could I have done to communicate to him, I'm here to help you, I will make sure you're okay? What could I have done?
Well, first of all, because your daughter was screaming and you were in a panic, that just escalated the intensity of the energy.
No doubt.
I'm going to die. Because he thought he was.
And it was I was in a sound sleep at the end. And
oh, sure.
I probably better because I didn't really fully feel the impact of his bite. And the best description is picture when a snake opens up and is ready to just clamp down. That's what it was, And
pure panic.
I don't blame him.
Pure panic and pain. Yeah. It's pure panic and pain. And at that point, you have to just say to him and to yourself, I am here to help you. Calm down. Everything's going to be okay. And you have to really take over your emotional being. Would he still bit you? Probably because of the pain.
Sure.
However, if you approached him instead of, he's running around. If you would have stood still and just said, stop, I'm going to help you, then he probably would have stopped, or at least slowed down and stopped and looked at you.
Well, okay, let me share with you. At the moment that I found him, he had stopped. He wasn't still running around. And maybe it's a blur, but maybe because the table got stuck in a spot in between a couch and another chair that he couldn't really move at that point anyway. So he was stationary when I found him. Okay.
So when you approach them like that and they're stationary and they're in pain, you approach them really slowly and talk to them in a very mundane voice, like, it's okay, I'm going to help you, it's okay. And that would have helped him immediately. By your calmness, then he would have calmed down. And the communication, whether it was vocal or energetic, he would have got it better, and he would have, kind of calmed down because he would have got that. When we're in a panic, they go in a panic. And, of course, you wanted to get him out of pain, and so he still felt that. But to just, take a breath and just tell yourself, I'm grounded and I'm going to help you and you need to calm down. And that probably would have helped him. Out in the wild, there have been, like whales that, people have cut nets off of them so they can live. And they do it in this very calm way, not a panic way. And that energy really relates to an animal more than we know about it, more than we feel. So that calmness, is what needed to be done, and really calm yourself. And then when you walked up to him, it's slow, it's very, it's very labored almost, so that they know that you're going to help them. It's not going to hurt them more. And I would also watch his tail, because tails can be broken and they can be damaged really badly. And if when you scratch his back by his tail, he starts reacting badly, that means his tail's been damaged. Now, and I know I've had clients that have gone in and had to have a cat's tail amputated, because at the point that it's broken many times, it will form what we call a nerve ball. And those nerves will never really heal. The pain runs up their tail into their back.
Wow, you're amazing. How, again, I'm going to say it again, factor out the communication and psychic ability aspect of you. Your knowledge of animals, I got more from you now than I got from the vet on the phone. And I know you're not a replacement for a vet, but I got to share that. I've got to share that.
Yeah, and their tails, that's why I tell people, if you have small kids and a child is pulling on a cat's tail, it can cause irreparable damage to that cat because of the nerves that are in its tail. And it can have the tail amputated, or the cat would have nerve damage to the point where their back and hips will never heal. So, a tail is very important for a kitty.
So at this point, it seems like now his tail is up in the air, and that's kind of his signature when he walks around. And when I just gently touch the first 3 inches of the end of the tail, I can feel a little something there, like a little ridge. But he doesn't jump. Even on a good day, prior to any of this, he would still be, hey, don't touch my tail kind of feel.
Right.
But he seems to be okay, and he's not. His one leg he was kind of limping a little bit. Maybe it was a sprain. Perfectly fine now. He's eating. He's affectionate. I'll keep an eye on it. I'm not as concerned. I'm amazed that there's not more obvious damage.
When their tail's broken or damaged, you'll see it. There'll be a kink in their tail almost. If it's broken, it is like a kink in their tail, and you can see it. Or if it starts to form a nerve ball, it will, there'll be a swelling or a roundness there. So if that's not there, then he was very lucky, and he's going to be okay. I'm not picking up a broken tail from him, to tell you the truth. I'm asking him about it. He still has a little bit of pain in his right hip, but it's nothing, and I think that's just, sore muscles and stuff. But it's not a bad pain at all. It's just a little thing there, but he's feeling okay, and his tail does not seem to be hurt at all.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you for sharing that. I using this as an example for everyone, we've talked about this before, but how do you send the message telepathically to the animal? In that moment, obviously, I would need to calm down. My daughter would need to calm down. But how do you send that signal? How do you send that, I'm here to help you. You're going to be okay. Is it just you think it? What do you focus on? How do you do that?
Yeah, it's just thinking it and making your energy come down and you thinking it, because it's telepathy, and thoughts are words in telepathy, and they're pictures. And so you're going to look at the animal and think, and you can say it and think it, I'm going to help you. I am here to help you. You don't have to worry about me. Stay still. I'm going to help you. And that they get that energy. They all of a sudden you'll almost see them go, oh, okay. She's not going to hurt me, or he's not going to hurt me. And it is the thought and the words that match. They have to match. I tell everybody the words that come out of your mouth have to match the thoughts that are coming out of your head. Otherwise, an animal will look at you like, where the heck are you, and what are you trying to say to me? So they have to match, and they get that, and they get that energy quickly. Also, because when you're saying that and thinking that, the pheromones that are coming out of your head are matching that. Those pheromones are going from your panic down to, no, we're not going to panic. And pheromones change, in seconds. I mean, it's, a nanosecond can change your pheromones. So they're getting the words, the thought, and the pheromones, and then they'll watch your body language as you approach them in a very slow and, way that they're not going to panic that you're, running toward them, or it's not a panic movement. And that's really the animal kingdom and how the animals communicate with each other and interspecies. It's all those four things together. So you kind of calming yourself, and I'm sure you did that, as you kind of approached him. I know there was a panic, but he also knew, once you got near him, it was like he's going to help me. Now he bit because he didn't know what else to do with all that pain that he had in his tail.
What's fascinating, in addition to all of this, is that I have since been sending him the message, like you said, to reassure him. And I have two cats. One of them is mushy. loving. Nothing rocks his world. He's just, he's much more grounded, if you will. This cat, he's similar, but he's more skitterish. If there's a noise, he might jump out. I don't want to say typical cat, but he's more of a typical cat. The other cat is like a dog. This is the one that had the accident. And since I've sent those messages, Shirley, I swear he's a different cat. Like it's almost as if he's trying to tell me, thank you for doing what you did. I really detect that from him. Like he's more loving, appreciative. It's just different. It's different since that day.
In his eyes, you rescued him. You saved him. You got whatever was chasing him away from him. You got, when you released him, the pain, went away. At least some of it went away right away. The pinchiness. So you rescued him. You saved him, and that's how animals try to tell us. I'm so appreciative. Thank you so much. If any rescue dog that you pick up at the rescue, 99% of them become the most loving dogs because they're so appreciative because they know you rescued them. So, he's getting your messages too about, I love you so much that I came to your aid. And that in the animal kingdom's a big deal. That's a big deal.
Yeah. And that's what I'm getting. Like, it's almost amazing that he's acting that way. And I know it sounds, to those who think this is, kind of out there, a little woo-woo. But we know our pets, and he's acting just as you said. Like, he gets it. Like, yeah, you did me a solid.
Yep.
I'm feeling it.
And now how can I show you how appreciative I am other than loving you? Because, he knows he can't really save you at this moment. There's nothing wrong with you. So, he's going to show you, I'm just love you, and I'm, so appreciative to what you did for me. So, and that's how animals do it. Even in the wild, if you watch them, if an animal, in a group saves another one, they are very emotional toward them. Animals have so much emotions that humans don't give them credit for.
100%. Absolutely. And now I'm seeing it to the point where he's never done this before. I can kiss him on top of his head, and he loves it. He never used to. I get close to him near his face. He'd be like, nope, stay away, stay. Now he just looks at my eyes, and I just give him a little kiss, and I might give him another one. And he's like, yeah, okay, we're good. Amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, because he's so appreciative, and in that moment of saving him, he felt your love. He felt the really unconditional love you had for him, and animals, have unconditional love. So you showed him back what he, gave to you, but now he knows that he's even safer with you. It's like because of that unconditional love. Some animals, it takes them a lifetime to really feel safe with somebody. Yeah. And, every animal has their own, just like humans. Some humans are touchy-feely and like to hug and hold hands, and other humans go,
sure.
I don't need that. But now that you saved him, he's like, wow, I can really relax, and I know I'm safe here.
You know what you just brought to my mind? The 5 love languages. And I don't know if you're aware of them. There are 5 different languages, we call them languages, that humans apparently possess. Like you just said, what we want. And essentially they are words of affirmation, quality time, physical touch, you just said that, acts of service, and receiving gifts. Now, I never thought of this applied to an animal, but the cat that I'm mentioning here, he doesn't need physical touch. He likes receiving gifts, i.e. when you feed him. Yeah, a lot of animals are like that. However, you take the other cat, hands down, it's physical touch. He wants to be, he comes over and he wants to kiss me, like on the lips, on the chin. Like that's his thing. They're different. Fascinating. I want to share with everybody, this doesn't just come from you just pulling this out of your head. You are a medium, and this all goes back to a near-death experience you had like 25 years ago, right?
Yes.
Tell us about that. I know you've mentioned it briefly, but I want to go back to it.
Okay. When 25 years ago, I was just starting my spiritual path. I had been looking into how to, what I really wanted to do with the rest of my life and stuff. And I had been one of these people that never really watched her diet because, I was active and I used to have a modeling career and we all drank Diet Coke, right, or Diet Pepsi. Well, Diet Pepsi has aspartame in it. And what I have found out since my near death is your body, if you take enough aspartame in, your body doesn't know what it is and it'll build it up and then all of a sudden it'll kill you. And one day I popped a sugar-free mint in my mouth that had aspartame in it. And within 5 minutes, well, less than that, after I popped it in my mouth, I all of a sudden started getting hives, almost like right away, like within seconds. And I was just pulled out of my driveway. I pulled back in, and I knew instinctively I was going to die. It was like a voice inside me said, "You are dying. Call 911." Well, I called 911, and the firehouse was 4 minutes from my house, and they were there in 4 minutes. And in those 4 minutes, I had got back into my house. I could not see. I could see lights coming out of my eyes, and the bottom of my feet felt like I was walking on blowtorches, which I found out later was because all my blood vessels in my body were shutting down from this aspartame. And the guys took one look at me. They rushed me into my living room, and I sat down, and the next thing I knew, I was floating above my body about 3.5 feet. I was in this white cloud, and my body was on the living room floor, and they had heart monitors on me. They had tourniquets on my arms. They had an oxygen mask on my face, and I was looking at my body going, I'm dying. Or I didn't say I'm dying. I said, look, my body's dying. This is so interesting. And one guy was beating my one arm, and it was all through thought. I can remember I didn't, I wasn't talking. And I thought, what is he beating my arm for? And he's saying, I can't find a vein. And they had tourniquets on my arms trying to bring up a vein. And the other paramedic on my right side was taking my blood pressure under the tourniquet. And I thought, boy, these guys are stupid. They take that blood pressure under that tourniquet. My blood pressure is going to be sky high, because the buildup. And the minute I thought that, the guy said, the paramedic said, her blood pressure is 69/38 and dropping. And I heard this noise, and I turned, and I looked sort of down the hallway, and there was another paramedic, and he was bringing out the chest paddles. And he said, how soon to code? And the other paramedic on my right arm said, 30 seconds at this rate, because it's dropping quick. And I thought, I don't want them to use that on my chest, because it will bruise my chest. Not that it would bring me back to life. I had absolutely no anxiousness, no panic about my body dying. I was in a perfect place. I felt warm and loved, and it was perfect. And so when I said, I don't want them to use that on my body, there was a voice behind me, and it said, then go back and stay conscious. And I turned around to see who it was, and I slammed back into my body so hard. I screamed because my body was in pain. I screamed. One of the paramedics screamed, and he said, I found a blood vessel, and it was in my hand. And, he shoved a needle into it, and they started squeezing saline solution in me to open up my veins. And by the time I could finally talk, because my tongue had swelled out of my mouth, and, it was kind of a bad scene. And they took me to the hospital. When I got conscious enough, and they said, okay, which hospital would you like to go to? Because I was living in Portland, Oregon at the time. And I said, I get my choice. And he said, of course you do. And I said, good, take me to Hawaii then.
Shirley was back.
Shirley was back, and he said, "Do you know where you are?" And I said, "Yes, but if I have my choice when I get out of the hospital, I want to have a vacation, you know."
Wow.
So anyway, they took me to this hospital, and I spent the night, and kind of had a fun time with all the machinery they had me hooked up to for the night, you know, but which was not nice to the nurses, and they got used to it. But anyway, I got to go home the next day, and that's when I started seeing, and some of your readers or listeners are going to go, "What?" I started seeing spirit guides on walls and walking through walls, and I started seeing auras around people's heads, and I started really knowing what people were thinking and saying or what they were going to do. And it was so quick and so overnight that it did scare me. But there was a place in Portland at the time that was called Church of Divine Man and Psychic Institute. It's not there anymore. And I went there for a year and honed in on my psychic abilities. I went 6 days a week for 4 or 5 hours a day.
My gosh.
And yeah.
Why? We're just about out of time, but I'm always fascinated by this. Why do we see the white light when we're about to cross over?
Because we're going into a different dimension.
And many say
we're going into a different dimension. And you know, and I want to get my book in here real quick because I did write a book. It's called
Please.
Which Path Leads to Forever, and it's on my website and it's on Amazon, and it talks about my near death, but it also talks about my experiences on the other side and what I feel the other side is, and how you can help heal yourself. And no matter what path you're on, it will lead to ever, because we do go on after this. This is not death. You know, I believe in life after life.
So that being said, when somebody passes, it's just another dimension. It's just another situation.
Yep. Yeah. There's a consciousness in us that goes on, and you know, we have the choice on sort of kind of what dimension we want to go into and where we want to be on the other side. There's so much free will, we don't even understand free will, and so there is a consciousness about us that is pure energy, pure thought, pure, you know, action. We don't take our vocal cords with us. We don't take our human brain with us. We do take some of our personality with us, and the consciousness and learning that we have in this, what we call our soul. And it's amazing. The other side is an amazing place. Wow.
It's just all fascinating. And you have so much insight in so many different areas. It kind of blows my mind sometimes. What's the name of the book? How do we get it, Shirley?
Okay, the name of the book is Which Path Leads to Forever. And go on to Amazon, and you can type that in by Shirley Scott, and it will come up, and you can just order it online.
And if somebody's looking to do an animal communication or get your guidance, even on the psychic medium side, how do they find you?
Just go to my website, which is my first and last name with a hyphen. So it's Shirley and then -Scott.com. And there's a contact page, and email me is the best way. And we can go from there, set up appointments. You can ask me a few questions if you'd like about, you know, rates and all that, and I'll be glad to answer you.
Wonderful talking with you. You are just one of the most grounded people I've ever spoken to. That's what I detect from you. I don't know what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Maybe it's living in the woods, you know.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Out west. I don't know what it is, but it works. Thank you for being here today and all your insight and suggestions. And for anybody that has a pet, start communicating. It works. Yeah. I mean, there's lots of examples I could give based on what you've shared with me, which I've tried. And I've gotten feedback from my animal. There's no way that it was just a coincidence. They picked up on what I was sending. I'm thoroughly convinced of that.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, we'll catch up soon. Thanks again, Shirley.
Okay, thanks. Okay.
We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup.
Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her?
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge?
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! It's now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend?
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.